Hello everyone and welcome back to HTML and CSS lessons on Codecademy. So last time we talked about borders, padding and things like that. Today let's see what we're going to be learning. Hopefully it's something new. So we know how our individual elements are constructed, but how do we determine where they go on the page? Because sometimes you don't really want them all to be on the left. Sometimes you might want them to be on the very right, in the middle, or maybe somewhere in between the very left and the middle, so somewhere centered in between the center and the left. One way is to use floats. When you float an element on the page, you're telling the web page, I'm about to tell you where to put this element, but you have to put it into the flow of other elements. So this means that if you have several elements all floating, they all know the others are there and don't land on top of each other. So that's good. You don't want them to be overlapping, because if you have overlapping text, it looks like a bunch of garble. You can think of the HTML page as sort of like a sea and floating elements as boats on it. All the boats have positions on the sea and they all see to and steer clear of each other. Unless they decide to crash somehow. Let's see. Some of the positioning methods we'll learn in upcoming sections can accidentally drop elements on top of each other, so that can happen, just like ships can crash into each other sometimes. So let's get started. Set your div's float property to right. Do we need to do it here? Yes, so float right. And it just puts it to the very right of the page. Okay, let's move on. To the left. Good, as you saw, your div moved over to the right side of the page. Move it back by changing your div's float from right to left. So we can do that. Let's try center. Or the other spelling of center. No? Okay. Maybe there's another way of doing it then. Fair enough. Float for 2. As you may have already guessed, we can use floated elements to naturally divide our pages into different sections. So let's try it, I guess. Set your div to float on to the right hand of your P. Wait, set your div to float to the right and your P to float to the left. Ah, okay. Float left, oops, semicolon, and float right. Oh, that's interesting. So instead of it putting this here and the div just below, so instead of putting the div there, it put it here and the paragraph here. Without using float, I think that what would happen is this would go down. Or best way to demonstrate is to actually switch the sides of these. Let's put that on the right, let's put this on the left. And then if I, instead of having this or having this here, if I just remove it or not, actually, yeah, I think I do want it this way. And if I just remove this one, or no, that had no effect. Maybe it automatically did. So what I was thinking would happen was that this would stay here, but then this would shift down below the line of the div, but that did not happen. Okay then, so maybe it's either automatic or that is just how it behaves. So is this the correct way, or do I need to switch their sides? No, that's fine. So what we have is something like that now. So let's move on. Clearing elements. Unfortunately, we sometimes mix large floating elements with non-floating ones, and elements do end up on top of each other, and we really do not want that. See your footer, the blue bit between the two columns. Well, it's supposed to be footer, so it's supposed to be at the bottom, so that's not correct. It's stuck back there because we haven't told it something very important, to clear the other elements on the page. So if you tell an element to clear left, it will immediately move below any floating elements on the left side of the page. It can also clear elements on the right. If you tell it to clear both, it will get out of the way of elements floating on the left and the right. Okay, so the syntax is what you're used to, so that's normal. I'm just going to experiment with all three. So if we do clear left, okay, so it clears of this element here, so it just goes below that element, so that's fine. If we do clear right, oops, let's put the semicolon in there just in case. If we do clear right, the same result should be there. And if we do clear both, again the same result is what I'm expecting. But if we shrink this right one, let's try doing that, height 250. There we go, and now we try right. I'm expecting it to go there, yep. So now it's still not clearing of either. But if we do left, it's still going to go below that. And if we do both, because this is the lower one, it's going to do the same. So let's put that back to 300 and see what our task is. Tell the div with the ID footer to clear both. Okay, I already have done that, and that is the lesson for today. So if you guys have any questions about floatings or float or clear, then feel free to ask in the comments down below. But other than that, if you like this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe, it helps me out. But if you didn't like it, then also feel free to click the dislike button and tell me in the comments why you didn't like it, so that I can improve for next time, so that maybe you do like it next time. But until that next time, thank you guys so much for watching.